You know, sometimes we argue if ghosts are real or if there's something supernatural out there that we do not understand. People say there's nothing, it's just a straightforward life. You live, you die, and you perish, and that's it. But I beg to differ because this story is very disturbing. I have been thinking about it for a very long time. There's also a Netflix documentary about it that you can go check it out later so that you can get more details to it. But I felt like sharing it today because there are things that we really can't explain. Although a camera captured what it captured, I think that there is something about this incident that at least would make people believe that, okay, we're not alone in this world. There are some forces that control us to do certain things. So here's the story. On January 26th of 2013, a young woman named Elisa Lam arrived in Los Angeles. She had just come by Amtrak train from San Diego and was headed to Santa Cruz as part of her solo trip around the West Coast. Now, this young lady blogs. She tends to document almost all her daily events and all that. She's a student. She's a young woman who was just traveling alone, trying to enjoy her life just before school resumes. Now, the trip was supposedly to get away from her studies at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, where she was originally from. Her family had been worried about her traveling alone, but the young student was determined to go at it alone. So as a compromise, Elisa made sure to check in with her parents every day of the trip to let them know that she was safe. Now, that was why it struck her parents as unusual when they didn't hear from her on January 31st, the day she was scheduled to check into the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. Now, her parents eventually contacted the Los Angeles Police Department. The police searched everywhere at the Cecil Hotel. They literally went door to door asking everyone. Now, this hotel had just gone through a renovation, so it was just revived back to life after some years of looking all dirty and almost out of business. So it was just a very strange incident that something like that could happen in this hotel. The manager didn't know what was happening. Nobody could give account. I mean, the young lady checked in quite all right, but what happened after that, where she went to and what the camera saw, is the most strangest thing ever. So police soon released the surveillance footage taken from the camera at the Cecil Hotel on their website. So now the police opened an investigation. They kept asking questions, checking around, checking every camera around, trying to piece together what happened to this young traveler. Thank God for surveillance cameras. So they got a hold of it and then they posted the video on their website and encouraged people to go and watch it with a fresh perspective, because sometimes if you look at a video for too long, you start to make up things that you do not think is there, or maybe you might miss some important details. So they put that video up there in public and encouraged people to go and watch it, and perhaps they might see something that they, the investigators, would have missed. And that was what happened. So things took a turn in a very strange way. Now, the hotel video showed Elisa in one of the elevators on the day of her disappearance, acting really strange. Now, look at this video very well. First, you see a young woman walk into the elevator. She pushed the number. There's nothing strange. There's nothing unusual. That's how we behave. When you go into an elevator, you push the number of the floor you're going, whether you're going up or you're going down. But then, when she pushed that button, you can see her waiting for the door to close, but the door did not close. To her, it felt like someone was standing right at the door, or someone was stopping the door from closing. So she came out, she peeped, she didn't see anyone, she went back in. But then the door was not closing. It didn't seem like a faulty issue, or she felt like that she was seeing or she was hearing something that no one else, not even the surveillance camera, could capture. So this young woman went back outside. You could see her interacting with whatever or whomever she was looking at. Now, some people said she could have been under the influence of drugs or whatever, or blah, blah, blah. But I do not think that's what happened. Again, if you believe in the supernatural, you will definitely read the different meaning to this video. So look at it again and, you will understand why I am, trying to explain these details to you. She was standing there, and whatever it is that was interacting with her was very careful not to come into the frame of the surveillance camera. So she stood there as if she was pleading, or as if she was telling whatever it is, okay, go in. You could see her be like this, all right, go inside. Or at least, she did not look like she was under the influence to me prior to when she went into the elevator. But then whatever happened to her from there, that was it. So to this day, nobody knows how exactly Elisa Lam died. We know that 21-year-old Canadian college student was last seen in hotel in Los Angeles. But the infamously chilling hotel surveillance video that captured that bizarre final moments before her disappearance, let alone the other details that had emerged since, have only triggered more questions than answers. So after the police combed the hotel, searched everywhere, asked everyone they could, interviewed nearly every hotel staff, there was one place left to look. I mean, it would be unusual, it would be strange for anyone to think that Elisa would have gone up there, but she was found in the water tank of the hotel. Now this is a giant tank sitting at the top of the roof with a ladder. What or how did she get in there? It remains a mystery, but there's no camera there to capture how she actually climbed in there. So on February 19, about 2 weeks after the video was published by the police, a maintenance worker called Santiago Lopez found Elisa Lam's dead body floating in one of the hotel water tanks. So Lopez made the discovery after responding to complaints from hotel customers saying that the water pressure was low and it smelled and tasted weird, but they didn't know that it was, human remains floating through the water. So according to a statement by the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, the tank where Elisa was found had been drained completely and then cut off from the side to remove her 5'4" frame. So you can imagine the stress in it. They couldn't get, the fire people, they couldn't get into the tank to get her out. They had to drain the water. How did she climb? Like, why would she even go up in the roof in the first place? So nobody knows how her body got in there. She was found in the same clothes she wore at the surveillance video, which ended up seeming like after the encounter at the elevator, whatever came to her, whatever she was communicating with, or whomever that was out of the frame, ordered or commanded her to go up and kill herself. So while the police were busy with their investigation, a bookstore owner called Katie Orphan, who owns the last bookstore in Los Angeles, said that she saw Elisa alive before she died. So the lady remembered the college student buying books and music for her family back in Vancouver. She said that, Elisa looked like any other customer. She had plans to return home, plans to give the things she bought to her family and reconnect with them. There was nothing unusual. There was nothing that indicated that she was going to die. So when the autopsy results for Elisa came out, it only served to ignite more questions. The toxicology report confirmed that Elisa had consumed a number of medical drugs likely to be medication for her bipolar disorder, but there were no indications of alcohol or illegal substances in her body. I mean, if she had taken any prescribed drug, why would it now trigger her to do something like that at the hotel? This is something she's been taking all this while. Why did it have to be at the hotel? So then an incomplete autopsy fuels wide theories of what happened to Elisa. Soon after the toxicology report came out, internet sleuths began pouring all the information they could find on the internet with hopes of solving the mystery behind the death. So one of them concluded that Elisa was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, and she may not have been taking her drugs properly. Like I said, if you believe in the supernatural, you would see it in a different way. If you believe in science and medicine, then you would probably associate it with drugs and all that. I personally do not think it has anything to do with her drugs, because what I saw in that video is more than someone who didn't take her drugs properly. I do not think that she didn't take her drugs properly, if I thought that was the case. What I saw in that video showed me that something was bothering this young woman. Then the hotel manager, during a court statement, supported this theory. She said that Liam's stay at the Cecil Hotel was initially booked as a hostel-style shared room with others. However, complaints of odd behavior from her roommates forced Liam to be moved to a private room by herself. But even if she had been suffering from mental health issues, how did she end up dead? It still doesn't answer the question. So furthermore, how did she end up in the hotel water tank? So the autopsy did not show any foul play from the evidence that was processed, but the coroner's office noted that they were unable to do a full examination because they could not examine the blood from Elisa's decomposing body. Her parents, David and Yena, filed a wrongful death suit against the Cecil Hotel several months after their daughter's death was uncovered. Then their lawyer stated that the hotel had duty to inspect and seek out hazards in the hotel that presented an unreasonable risk to danger. But then their lawyer argued that it's the hotel's responsibility to remove any hazard and inspect the place properly. So the hotel fought back against the lawsuit and filed a motion to dismiss it. The hotel's lawyer argued that the hotel had no reason to think that someone would be able to get into one of their water tanks. Now, based on court statements from the hotel maintenance staff, the hotel argument is not entirely far-fetched. Santiago Lopez, who was the first to find Liam's body, described in detail how much effort he had to exert just to find her body. Lopez said that he took the elevator to the 15th floor of the hotel before walking up the staircase of the roof. When he had first turned off the rooftop alarm and climbed up to the platform where the hotel's 4 water tanks were located, he had just climbed into another ladder to get on the top of the main tank. Only after all that did he notice something unusual. He said he noticed the hatch of the water tank was open and looked inside and saw an Asian woman lying face up in the water approximately 12 inches from the top of the tank. He said it would have been difficult for Elisa to make it to the top of the water tank on her own, at least not without anyone noticing. So the hotel chief engineer also made it clear that it would be difficult for anyone to access the rooftop where the hotel water tanks were located without triggering alarms. There was an alarm at the entrance of where the hotel water tank is located, which Lopez had to turn off before he could get there. But if Elisa had gone through that same path, which is the only way to get in the water tank, then that alarm would have been triggered, right? So only hotel employees would be able to deactivate the alarm properly. If it was triggered, the sound of the alarm would reach the front desk as well as the entire top floor of the hotel. The Los Angeles Superior Court judge ruled that the death of Elisa Lam was unforeseeable because it had happened in an area the guests were not allowed to access, so the lawsuit was dismissed. Very strange case if you ask me. Well, that's it for today's story. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe to my channel to get more updates. I tell dark, strange and mysterious stories from Nigeria and beyond. Thank you again and have a good day.